Well, build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance to spit in his eye. Well, they gave me balls, but I can see between to a dusty yard and a long gone green. They call that freedom, if you know what I mean. And I drown my sorrows, but the whiskey's gone.
Hello everybody, welcome to Shortbangers. I'm Matty, joined tonight by Colin and John. John, how are you doing?
Hey, really good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Just we're having a wee laugh just before we started talking about Cartman singing about Carol's mum being a big fat fucking bitch. I really mean it, Carol's mum. Anyway, watch the film. Good film. Colin, how are you doing?
Good. Aye, good day off tomorrow, so aye, good mood.
Out for what are you doing to mark the Jubilee? Anything special?
I'm steering clear of everything. I've only seen one. I was driving up the street tonight, and one of the houses in the bottom got the Union Jack and on the window, and a couple of like wee flags on the balcony. And I'm like, fucking hell. But yeah, that's only one. A big area like that's just not too bad.
There's absolutely nothing here round about us. There's nothing, thankfully. I think folk are too sensible. And they often say that about fifers, but I think they're too sensible to go, no putting that stuff up because there's a good chance here when these will be getting put in. So, aye, but a day off though. Looking forward to that. Anyway, right. I'll start.
It's not quite a day off for me. The missus is working, so I've got the bairn. It's just me, her, and the dog. It's a wee bit better. I'm just a wee bit better in general.
Well, we get some questions going.
Aye.
Right, first
Sorry,
question.
I tried to fill an awkward silence there, but let's just carry on.
That's all right. That's all right. We did. Do you ever do that on work meetings? Do you know when it goes quiet and you think I should speak here to fill the silence, but you don't because you're like, I wonder how long this would last. And I get to a certain point where I start sniggering, so I have to put myself on mute because I find it fucking funny. It's even better if a couple of folk are on camera. Because they're like, that must be even worse, do you know? Anyway.
Have you ever been in a meeting with anyone where it's like one-on-one or even just like limited numbers in the room where there is a silence, but you just kind of like eyeball someone and wait for them to break first?
Aye, done it before, yeah.
He's a manager, and so he will have, because that's part of the coaching manual, isn't it?
You have to, ask a question and just give them time to answer.
Let them blink first?
Aye.
Well, or because what I've been fed back on before is when I've been observed in that is you're giving them the answer. They need to find the answer themselves, so they think it's their idea. Like you're leading them to the answer, but you're not answering it, so that they'll go and fucking do it. Because if you tell them, then it's like, fuck off, I'm not doing it because you tell me to. So you're kind of, I don't think the manual says that, but that's what's
close to it, almost word for word. Almost. Right. First question that comes to Whiskey Craig. It says, Longbangers, with Stranger Things being nostalgic as hell and amazing for it, and most movies being remakes stroke reboots, what will we do in 20 years' time when the nostalgia is of nostalgia?
Is
I haven't seen
the nostalgia... I'm not sure I understand the question. So let me try and articulate it while I try and understand it. Is nostalgia now not... Is that not... Are we not experiencing nostalgia now, or is it too short a gap in terms of the remakes?
No, but we are right. But if you think about it, right, so Stranger Things, and I'll not give any spoilers for it, Colin, it's worth watching, set in the 80s, right? So when you watch it, you're going, oh, fucking mind of them, and mind of that song, and all the rest of it, right? So it's nostalgic, right? But in 20 years' time, when they should be looking back and saying, oh, mind 2022.
You're getting the 80s were 40 years ago. So the time difference here is a bit fat.
Yeah, I'm just going with the question said in 20 years' time, what would you be looking at, right? So, in the 80s does still seem like it was only about 20 years ago,
it does.
Which is the other thing. You're not going to be looking back at 2022 and looking at cultural things going, oh, mine in 2022, there was this and that. You'll be going, it was like the 80s. That's what it's going to feel like.
Oh, because you're saying because the 20s doesn't have its own identity?
Because it's all nostalgia based. That's the question. It's a good point.
Yeah.
Is nostalgia as good as it used to be?
I'm struggling with. I'm like fucking Doctor Who here. I'm struggling with timelines. When was nostalgia last good?
Well, it was better than baddie. Like when I was a kid. Yeah.
It's funny though. See when you see the old photos in that Princess Street or Leith Street or whatever, and it's not got all the fucking shops in it, and and it's just got like a bus going along the road and no people. It just looks different.
Yeah.
I saw an old boy yesterday. Actually, I was on the bus coming home, and I saw an old boy walking about. He had his phone on not a selfie stick, but like a selfie stick. Well, maybe it is a selfie stick, but it was facing the other way, and he was recording everything up at the bridges, up at the North Bridge. And I thought, oh, I wonder, like 30 years time when he's died and his grandkids have got a head of that, that'll be on this Lost Edinburgh and all that, and I might be in it. Get like I did actually think that yesterday, funnily enough. But
did you wave?
Nah, because no, it was too late. But it was just but it does look totally. No, you recognise it. Can you recognise the place?
Mm-hmm.
But it looks a different sort of. But all the old boys in their suits and that.
But if you think
bowler hats and that.
Princess Street's a good example, because if you think back to when we were teenagers, Colin, like we go up to town on a Saturday, and if you stood at one end, you could just see it was like a sea of Hibs.
Yeah,
it was like stowed out. Whereas now, even at its busiest, you could go to Princess Street and
just a massive boys with curtains. And
that was just us.
Curtains, well fluorescent shirt, and a pair of timbies.
Whereas now you didn't even have to, because you learned how to walk in a crowd in Princess Street on the Saturday. You could do it in a bother, which served you well for later life. But kids now didn't get out of the crowd walking. You see them, like when you're at the football and that, you have it. Like I'm always fucking pull Josh out the way if folk are telling him to walk straight and that, or no walk straight, depending on what he's needing to do.
Then they all look at their phone now when they're walking, don't they? So they never get a sense of like what a straight line is, or look for the gaps and spaces.
Have you ever just dropped the shoulder when you've seen someone coming towards you, like paying too much attention to their phone rather than the pavement in front of them or the people in front of them?
What, and injured them? You saying?
No, just not moved out the way.
I've definitely done that. Like I've just not moved. Like Clean Devil, they walked into me, kind of like the footballer defence. I know. Hands down.
Ref, got the ball.
Right, next question. TG Willis asks, is Hubwave some sort of money laundering scheme? So we should. Well, I thought we'd agreed that. Should apologise if you had more money taken off than you should have. It wasn't our fault. It happened. It was all refunded quickly.
Should have kept this for the subscriber episode.
Well, we should have. So
these folk that haven't subscribed yet.
Are we going?
It's not. They don't let it put you off. Like.
No, it was fixed early doors before I'd even gone to them. They were fixing it.
Yeah. See, if it is a money laundering scheme, we would be the money launderers. Is that right?
No, Hubwave would be.
Hubwave, yeah. It would be nothing to do as we are committing no criminal. No, we're not knowingly committing any criminal act here.
I'm just thinking back to my financial services CBT. So are we the placement layer?
No, we get the clean side at the end. It's the layer. So they're layering it. The subscribers, if anybody. No,
they're placing it.
Direct. Is that not what they call it? Layering it.
So you place it first, then layer it, and then comes out clean.
Aye.
So they're placing it, and Hubwave are layering it, right, and then we get the clean stuff at the other side.
Aye, but it's no anyway. It's all legitimate, and it's good, and you should try it. And longbangers.hubwave.net. Go and see for yourself. Don't believe us. Try it out yourself. You'll enjoy it.
I was thinking earlier that First Bus and loading buses might be a front for money laundering schemes as well, because quite often, like particularly out this neck of the woods, like First Bus is the most popular one, but they do have it's like the LRT buses. It's something I can't remember if it's like Loading Country or something. It's like a a separate branch, but I never see anyone on them. Like, how are they making any money off that service whatsoever?
Subsidies. It will be for those ones. First Bus, they surely won the first away. There must have been other buses before them, and it's quite a claim to make.
No, somebody had to be first.
I think it was them, Colin.
Well, they're claiming it. So, by the way, back to money laundering, you wouldn't set a podcast up for it. You would just go and buy a tanning shop or a chippy like or a hairdresser's like everybody else does.
Or a football club.
Aye.
In West Lothian.
Well, in Gorky, probably. Yeah. Gaz asked, sweeties or chocolate?
Was he asking what the difference is, or what?
No. What would you prefer? So imagine the sweeties are like stuff in pick and mix. For Skittles. Chocolate's chocolate.
Right. I think probably chocolate for me, but I do like the occasional sort of fruit pasta though.
I've got a right thing for Skittles. Skittles are quality. Every now and again, we'll treat myself to a wee packet of them. But we quite often have one of the shared bags of chocolate. Anyway, a cup of tea, watching a box set or something.
One each.
Oh, no, share it.
Aye. Because it tells you on the pack, so you're just obeying the
That's it. I'm very compliant that way.
Are you quite suggestible, Matty? Like,
Me?
if we were to come in with a bag of something and just like write a word on it, get you to do it?
That's probably my worst trait, is being suggestible. Fucking brutal for it. So
I wonder what I can get you to do.
Get me an onion. See if you can get me an onion.
I'd not do that, but I've done fucking stupid. Like, I've told some of the stories and adventures that I've had in my life, John, on this podcast, and 99% of them comes from somebody saying, well, we did this. And I go, fuck it, why not?
That thing you went home with that old boy, mind.
Aye. Like that.
What was the old boy story again?
This was when I was meant to go on a date with this. It was like an Australian girl I met at the Liquid Rooms, and I'd arranged to meet Full Ice and Firkin on Bread Street, Spittle Street. Doesn't matter, right? Anyway, I'd gone in, got a pint, sat down.
This is where the boy tried to shag you.
Yes.
Aye.
She never turned up. I thought I'd be stood up. Anyway, this boy sits down. We watched the football together, and then he was telling me how he was an author and everything. He's just, I just have a flat next door. If you want to come out, I can give you one of my books. I was like, aye, fine. And he got in, and then the penny dropped to what was actually fucking happening. And it was like, the end scene of Usual Suspects with the spoiler alert, where the detective looks on the wall and he starts piecing harder and it all starts making sense to him. It was like that is like the conversation that would happen through the night.
So what I'm hearing is that you got stood up, but you still could have got your Nat King Cole and turned it down.
You never got stood up though. She wouldn't come in the pub on her own or something.
You waited outside.
That was it.
But still, it's the reason everyone else won't come on the podcast.
To this day. And then Gaz's next question, which I think is a true or false one, doesn't quite work, Gaz, but it's true. I think true or false, Marvin Gaye.
Aye,
it needs an S, wouldn't it? Like that.
Yeah.
So we'll veto that one. Jake Gapper asks, would you put up with Amber Heard? We did true or false Amber Heard, didn't we?
I don't know, but it's a good one.
Yep, true or false Amber Heard. What did she hear, John? If it is true, what do you think she heard?
This is topical, eh? What did she hear? Let's just say she heard that sort of cha-ching sound. You know, the old sort of like bank machine tellers.
Yeah. No any emotional, I suppose. But would you put up with Amber Heard, asked Jake Gapper, if you had to change the bed sheets every couple of nights?
She sounds a bit hard work, yeah.
To be fair, they both did. Like, see, I don't care how much of the case you followed, but it was like a very, very toxic relationship on both sides by the sound of it. I didn't quite care what they were getting out of that.
I think, it was toxic on both sides.
I think so that's what she was getting out of it.
Aye, so she was launching vodka bottles at him, and it seems like the jury agreed that she was hitting him. Meanwhile, he's just fucking stoned and bevied out his mind, and is alleged to have committed acts that Amber Heard could provide no evidence for.
Yeah. Whiskey Craig Amber Heard. That's his question. Yeah. So well done, Whiskey Craig. I'm sorry we jumped in early there. My bad, etc.
Was Whiskey Craig, was he coming up for a game, or was he coming up for a drink or something?
Could be right. I don't have a good memory for these things, but if somebody suggests it to me, I'll go along with it, John.
Aye. He was, or he is. I can't remember, but we're definitely up for having that drink.
Right, Ian T says, which name would you make of two others? Surely Rylan is made up. So if you're... Surely all names are made up.
Aye, but you mean merging two together? Yeah. So Ryan and Alan.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well figured out quite quickly. I'm quite impressed with that.
Pretty normal names though. Like I've come out, it's maybe more convoluted than that, but so they've taken two normal names and created, so it'd be like Joe Hugh for used to, or
Jothew.
Maton.
Maton.
If you were going to make up a name for something, I think why you would make up. And the thing is, if you were making up a name and it was sort of forming two parts, you would end up with it would be something man, wouldn't it, or something woman, to make a superhero name, because that would be funnier than.
But folk want to be individual and all that, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like they want to create, have their kid being an individual, so that they make names up. And that's what that's getting at. Like, I mean, we thought we were being all trendy in that with a couple of my daughter's names, and genuinely now, because when they're playing football or whatever, the amount of other girls that are called the same thing, you go, or the same age group, obviously, like for sake, everybody was calling her that at that time.
We were the same way.
How many
were we We thought it was like traditional, bordering on old fashioned, and that no one else would have, not that no one else would have this name, but the likelihood of us meeting someone that had this name was slim. And then maybe like a couple of weeks after she was born, the Plumbers one was in. He was like, "Oh, that's my goddaughter's name." Like, for fuck's sake!
Aye, that's what happens. It's like you think you're being clever, or no clever, but we'll do something that's not the same as everybody else, and then, as I say, it turns out that everybody else has done the same thing.
Aye.
The worst thing is if it's somebody's dog has got the same name. You're like, oh, came from one of the trendy ones, and that you sometimes hear that. Or we talked about Gary the dog. That would be asked Lee Johnson that question about can name a hairy dog, and obviously nobody got that joke.
Got a bit of criticism on
Hibs on it.
So what was the joke? I must admit, it caught me off guard. I was like, oh fuck.
It's just if you watch Shooting Stars, they would ask a question like this from time to time, right? So name a junction on the M4, and the person would say junction 3, and they go, no, it's junction 6. Name a hairy dog was one of the ones that they asked. I can't. The person maybe said like a German Shepherd, and they said no, it's a St Bernard, for example.
I thought it was quite funny when you said name a hairy dog, and you thought about it. I thought they're all fucking hairy. Like,
aye, they are hairy.
Maybe down in Bristol they're all bald. I don't know.
Maybe, but there was a story on Facebook where a dog had gone missing, but they'd found it. And I had a picture of the dog, but the dog was called Gary, which is like a brilliant name for a dog. It's like give them proper human names. I'm a big fan of that. And Bailey would definitely have had a human name if it had been down to me to name our dog. It's like we have the guinea pig called Dave, right? So I just think this is spectacular. And Gary's a fantastic name for a fucking dog.
What was your human name contender if you were to have named Bailey?
Dave.
Dave too.
Aye, Dave. Aye. It would have been. Aye, probably would have went with Dave or something like that. I'm sure someone's got a dog called Nigel, or that kind of thing. I wouldn't call a dog Nigel because of the connotations with old cunt face Farage. But
did you have the conversation with the missus about like if you ever had to shout on the dog in the park? Like, could you imagine shouting for Nigel or Gary?
Aye, well, Gary, you definitely could. But this, we wanted to call him, so there's a temptation to call him Doug, right? As well, because or Deefer, right? Deefer Dog, right? Was the other one that we could have done, but I would have. It probably would have been Dave, but I might have gone for another sort of ordinary name for him. Probably wouldn't have got away with calling him Dave because that was the guinea pig's name. So there might be something a bit morbid in that, I can.
Do you think, was he a guinea pig or a gerbil? Remind me.
Guinea pig.
Guinea pig. Do you think Dave the guinea pig would have been listening in the afterlife? Like, fucking Matty shouting on me. Oh no, he's after that fucking Doug. Replace me. Just, I wasn't even fucking cold in the ground. And
maybe it's a reincarnation. It's maybe a reincarnation.
Maybe.
The timeline fits.
Did you mention it?
Check and see if he's nostalgic.
I'll try with some kale. Right, Whiskey Craig, another question asks, how many times do we have to tell you?
You shout that at your parents? Or did you? You've not done it. You're just too young, you're older. So.
Do you know sometimes that your parents would say, this is the last time I'm telling you? And you go, well, that's great. Because if I still didn't do it, then that's the end of the matter, isn't it? But
it was always that general wonderment, like when your parents would say to you, like, it's like if you ever upset or hurt your brother or sister and they would say to you, are you satisfied? Like, there's no way that I can answer this. And if they said, like, if you were doing something that you shouldn't, and it was a case of, right, I'm going to count to 3. And then I knew, like, the first time we did it, I knew it was 1, 2, 2 and a quarter, 2 and a half. Like, that's how I learned fractions of my own year, getting into bother.
I'll sometimes, kind of, if you want to practice they're having a tone with things, I'll phone up the talking clock really late at night and say, what time do you call this?
Oh, so that was a thing that I'd seen on TikTok in the last couple of days. Like, tell someone who was born, like, obviously older people like ourselves, tell someone who was born after the year 2000 something that they wouldn't understand. Like, just mention something. So one guy had said 1471, and the speaking clock is definitely going to be another. Like, I'm not even sure that's still in existence. I don't even know how. Is it 1, 2, 3 you would phone on?
No, 1, 2, 3. Is that your voicemail now?
Oh, it's.
I don't know. On mobile, on a landline, 1, 2, 3 was a talking clock.
Yeah, it was one. I'm googling this out.
Sponsored by Accurist.
What's the number for
1, 2, 3? Just what's the number for 1, 2, 3?
the talking clock from a mobile?
Is there still a talking clock? Would maybe have been a better question.
So when's this article from? Everyone used to know the number for the speaking clock. It's 1, 2, 3, but today few young people even know it exists. But the service known as Talkline still gets more than 30 million calls a year. What the fuck? Despite the rush to embrace new technology. I mean, that was 2016. So does it tell you the mobile number for it?
That's mad, eh? There aren't many folk doing that. Like, they're probably using a mobile who's got a clock on it. Do you think it's the day after the clocks go forward or back that they go, I'm not sure if my mobile's done this properly? Kind of, it does it automatically.
Aye, so
I always do it. And they're just thinking, I'll double check.
So I think BT still do the service on 1, 2, 3, and it announces the time every 10 seconds. So you need to time it right as well, probably, to make sure you're getting the right value for your money. And it's 50p a minute. You probably don't need to stay on for the full minute, though, are you, once you can the time?
He's got to read the same time. It's, well, similar time at 6 times in a minute, isn't he?
Do you know, there's the episode of The Office, right? This is one of the bits which was absolute genius in The Office, where somebody circulated the porn picture of David Brent, and it turns out it's Finchy, right, his mate, and he has to phone him to give him a row, and he presses the buttons and he's giving it big licks, and anyway, his boss puts it on speakerphone, and it's the talking clock that he's phoned. But as it's going and reading at the time, I think if you notice, but Gareth checks his watch and nods his head to get like that's right, which is exactly the sort of thing that he would have done. It's just a brilliant wee subtle touch that. Anyway, right.
I was thinking that was that 50 pence a minute?
Yeah.
So is that the boy on the speaking clock? Is he on about 30 quid an hour? And there's 30 million calls. Like, how much is that boy on a year? Why the fuck, if he's making that much money, why is he still answering the phone to tell folk the time?
Well, he's not. He's recorded it once, and he's just now drawn down on the income. It's like Del Boy. with his fucking OnlyFans and horses repeat fees.
Aye. He would. He was on a thing that was on Twitter earlier on. He was talking about him meeting the Queen. Did you see it? And he was saying how she was funny. And
That's the young laugh, no? I think like somebody's like, wait a minute. What are you laughing at?
The on the Twitter thread, the first reply said she was talking about a tall white man. I'm not sure if I buy that, but right. Ian also asked, if animals could talk, which one would crack the funniest jokes?
If animals could talk? What about hyenas?
Well, they laugh.
They make the best audience for your jokes.
Okay.
It's obvious to say that, isn't it? Like, it's the one that came to my mind at first as well, but then I thought...
What would you describe as being like a deadpan animal? Because I quite like a deadpan comedian, like someone like Leslie Nielsen, for example.
Cat.
What animal would Leslie Nielsen be if he was still alive and an animal?
That's a good question. Because my initial thought was cats would be good at the deadpan stuff, but I'm not sure. So I think they would be very sarcastic. They'd be like your Frankie Boyle, Jimmy Carr type jokers, wouldn't they? Your cats would be quite cutting and.
Could you imagine a cat with a Jimmy Carr laugh?
And haircut.
Deadpan animal.
Dogs, dogs would be, surely.
You think so? I think dogs would be more into the slapstick comedy.
Yeah.
Aye, I think they would be more about the physical stuff.
I think dogs would be the clowns, like 40 clowns piling out of a mini in the circus.
Mm-hmm.
That's who they would be. I don't think they would be the joke teller.
Aye. They'd run out, but run around the other side and get in again.
Aye.
Do you know, that's the kind of humour the dogs would do. It would be funny, like you would laugh with it, but I don't think they would be doing stand-up.
But they're not the main event.
Like they're running into patio doors and stuff like that, because I think they're running after a cat or a bird or whatever.
Aye.
All that sort of daft stuff. So what's so we're looking for like a kind of intelligent animal then?
Yeah, a dolphin.
What is an intelligent animal?
Dolphins got a reputation for being intelligent, don't they?
Do they?
I think if it's deserved, though.
Because they make the noises and that. Yeah.
Aye, I think if it's deserved. I mean, how many dolphins are in Mensa, for example? Fucking none, as far as I know. So I think that could be a lie, but they've done well to get that reputation. So whoever does the PR's done a good job for them.
See, because of the laugh, it makes me think the dolphin laugh. You know, the sort of. I'm not going to do it, but it makes me think of Lee Evans. I'm not even sure how to. Aye, no. I know Lee Evans is a wee bit slapstick, but because of that sort of like laugh that they do, it makes me think of Lee Evans.
Penguins. I reckon penguins would be good at telling jokes because they're on their feet the whole time anyway, aren't they? So like the stand-up thing, just put a wee mic in front of them, and I reckon very quickly they would just start riffing jokes.
What about horses? Because I think they can switch from like long face to like when they get the teeth
with a big aye, take it back. Right? Anyone knows? Anyway, that's us out of time for this episode. That went quick, didn't it? Tonight did for us. Sorry if it's taking ages for you listening.
I was going to say that's what they're thinking.
I think, what the fuck is this? They've not even made it this far.
There's a bit money laundering tonight.
Coaching. Don't go away with strangers, etc. Right, if you want to hear more, honestly, go on to longbangers.hubwave.net. You can subscribe. There will be an extra Shortbangers episode tonight out there for subscribers who have already had, 8 or 9 extra episodes of Shortbangers already for their money. So, and you get instant access to them as soon as you sign up as well. It's not like you're just going to get the new stuff. You've got all the classics all in there as well.
Not to mention you become an accessory to money laundering. So,
yes.
I mean, that's always a selling point. Get involved.
But potentially never heard that, so you've got plausible deniability. So just say we thought we were joking. Right, anyway, until next time, we'll catch you later.